All right, let's dive into a true classic, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. You've probably heard of it, right? It was written way back in 1937, but here's the crazy part, it's still a bestseller. Why? Because the stuff inside is just as powerful and relevant today as it was then.
Okay, let's kick this off with just one number, 85%. Now, what on earth could that mean? Well, it's not some random stat I pulled out of thin air. It's actually a number that has everything to do with your success.
Yep, you heard that right. According to research from the Carnegie Foundation, a whopping 85% of your financial success comes down to your people skills, not your technical knowledge, but what Carnegie called human engineering. Your ability to lead, to connect, to persuade, that's the real game changer.
So you might be wondering, where did Carnegie even come up with all this stuff? Well, it wasn't from some stuffy academic ivory tower. Nope, he had a very unique kind of laboratory.
His lab was the real world. He spent 15 years working with thousands of adults in his courses, people who were hungry to improve themselves. He tested everything, refined his ideas, and boiled it all down to a set of principles that, in his own words, work like magic.
Okay, so the whole thing really starts with 3 golden rules. These are the absolute fundamentals for handling people. Think of them as the foundation for everything else in the book.
First up, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Carnegie realized that 99 times out of 100, people just don't blame themselves for anything, no matter how wrong they might be. So when you criticize someone, it's totally futile. It just puts them on the defensive, wounds their pride, and can brew up resentment that sticks around for years. And check this out for a wild example. Even a guy like Al Capone didn't see himself as the bad guy. He famously said he spent his life giving people pleasure, and all he got was abuse. Seriously. Him and other notorious criminals, like Two Gun Crowley, saw themselves as public benefactors, or at worst, misunderstood victims. So if these guys aren't blaming themselves, what makes you think the people in your life will?
Rule number 2 is all about giving honest, sincere appreciation. And let's be super clear, this is not about flattery. Carnegie hammers this point home. Flattery is cheap, it's fake, and people see right through it. We're talking about genuine appreciation that comes from the heart. It taps into what he called the deepest craving in human nature, this gnawing hunger to feel important and appreciated.
And rule number 3, arouse in the other person an eager want. This is so simple it's genius. The only way to get someone to do something is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. Carnegie had this great analogy. When you go fishing, you don't put strawberries and cream on the hook just because you love them, you put a worm on it because that's what the fish wants. So why on earth don't we use that same common sense with people?
And that right there is the thread that ties all of this together. It's not about you, it's about them. Making that simple shift in your thinking from what you want to what they want, that's the secret sauce of this entire book.
Okay, that's the big picture stuff. But how do you actually put it into practice? Let's break down Carnegie's simple recipe for making people genuinely like you.
It's all about small, powerful actions. Like, become genuinely interested in other people. Smile. And this is a big one. Remember someone's name. To them, it's the sweetest sound in the world. Carnegie even said you could make more friends in 2 months by being interested in other people than you can in 2 years trying to get them interested in you. Think about that.
And that name thing, it's no joke. A political mastermind named Jim Farley could supposedly call 50,000 people by their first name. It's such a simple, effective compliment. It's the kind of skill that literally helped put a president in the White House. It's huge for building goodwill, no matter what you do.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. What about when you need to persuade someone? How do you win them over to your way of thinking? Well, Carnegie's take on this is simple, and honestly, a little surprising.
Here it is. You can't win an argument. I mean, think about it. If you lose, well, you lose. But if you win, you still lose, because you've probably hurt the other person's pride and made them resent you. Carnegie said to avoid arguments like you'd avoid rattlesnakes. And he's right. 9 times out of 10, everyone just walks away more dug into their own position.
So you really have to make a choice. There are 2 kinds of victory. You can have that empty, theatrical victory where you argue your point and prove them wrong. Or you can have a real victory where you gain their goodwill. And here's the kicker. You can very rarely have both.
Okay, so this is all great information. But how do you actually make it stick? How do you turn all this knowledge into a real-world skill? Carnegie had a very clear action plan for this.
He was really clear that this book wasn't meant to just sit on a shelf. He called it an action book.
He loved this quote from Herbert Spencer. The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action. The whole point isn't just to know the stuff, it's to do it.
And this takes work. It's an active process. You have to apply these rules every single chance you get. You're not just memorizing information here. You're trying to build brand new habits. In fact, Carnegie says you're attempting a whole new way of life. That means you got to practice, review, and keep at it until it all becomes second nature.
Which brings us to the final and most important question. Since Carnegie called this an action book, what's the one principle you're going to put into action today? Right now. Are you going to hold back on a criticism? Give someone a genuine compliment? Or maybe just make a point to smile more? The choice is totally yours, but the key is to start now.